Welcome in the latest episode of That SEC Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter. And I'm joined as always by my cousin Shane, who goes by Big Orange Vols on Twitter. What's up, you old Tennessee Homer?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Oh, man, doing great. Got a loaded show. Now that there's training camps across the SEC, we're actually getting news and notes. Shane, we got a great interview line, over an hour with Chris Lee in studio, so that was a treat. And I almost died this weekend, so I'm feeling great the fact that I'm not dead. You know what?
Yeah, man, I saw that picture of you on this. Well, actually, you called me right after it happened and sent me a picture of the car that hit you, and I was like, and I ain't gonna lie, Mike, I zoomed in. First, I was looking for a Kentucky tag or possibly a Bama logo or something like that. I was like, who the hell's been hitting Mike here, you know? But I'm glad that you're safe. I'm glad that you're healthy and survived that incident, Mike. And I tell you, brother, that after you sent me that pic, I for some reason, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start wearing my seatbelt. I was like, you never know, you know? So I'm one of those guys that just refuse to do the seatbelt, but I was like, I'm going to try it now, you know?
Oh, yeah, I have my seatbelt on. I'll keep it brief, Shane. I know people don't care about this stuff, but it was. Yeah. I never been in a wreck in my life, Shane. I'm just going down the freeway about 70 miles per hour, minding my own business, and a car just sideswipes me, and not only are they hitting me, they refuse to back off. It was the weirdest thing. So I hit my brakes. They wrap around the front of my vehicle. Now they're going exact 180 the way they're supposed to be going on the freeway, and they're getting rammed against the concrete wall in my car. And when my car came to a stop, I don't know if they were stuck or what, but they went in reverse about 40 miles per hour, hit the guardrail, and his airbag blew up, his windows blew up. I thought the person was dead. I was just hoping they were all right because, I was banged up, but not too bad. And then I see him jump out of the car and run into the woods. And I was like, well, that can't be good. So that was all after my interview with Chris Lee. And Shane, I just went home, and thank God all my podcast gear was in the car. I mean, I was worried about the car, but I was more worried about all this gear because I can't replace it if we lost everything. And not a single gear was injured. So I was still able to go home and edit that video, which, hey, if that's not it, please God, people go watch it. I almost killed myself trying to give you this free content.
You know why that happened, don't you, Mike?
Why is that?
Because Harry put them special tires on, you know? Rubbin's racing, baby.
All right, Shay, let's get into it because we got a loaded show. But before we get into the action, we got to let everybody know, of course, we're brought to you by Game Time Sidekicks, Shane. Cannot recommend Game Time Sidekicks enough. They just sent us a care package. I got the new Joe Milton cup. It's pretty awesome. I threw it up on Twitter. I'll throw it on the screen. Dog bowls. They even got dog bowls now at Game Time Sidekicks, Shane. But they're giving us a special offer for our audience, Shane. Head on over to GameTimeSidekicks.com. Put in that promo code at the checkout, SEC. That's all you got to do is a discount code for 20% off.
Absolutely.
It was 15. Now they're 20. Yes. They're like, you guys are killing it. Give us 20% off at Game Time.
It just means more, baby.
At Game Time Sidekicks, there's a link in the show notes. It's stainless steel drinkware, Shane. NCAA official gear here. We cannot recommend it enough. This is 2 seasons in a row that we've partnered with Game Time Sidekicks. And if you really want to help the podcast, this is how you do it right here. We don't ask for much, Shane. Get you a gift or get someone else a gift. They got every SEC team, every college team over at Game Time Sidekicks.
Yeah, 20% off. So whenever you buy the cups that you're going to be looking at, you're automatically going to get embedded. There's a sale going on right now for 15%. You're going to ignore that. You're going to get to the very end, and right when you're about to pay, you're going to notice a spot for promo code. Just type in SEC, and then it's going to up it to 20% off. And again, cup's awesome. You get one. There's a lot of NIL stuff about to come out. A lot of people are asking about the Joe Milton one. Just hang loose. We got it before it was official, but some of these NIL cups are going to be coming out too. So you want to support some of your favorite players? That's how you do it. Put a little cash in their pocket.
Yes, sir. All right, buddy. Let's get into the action here. And hey, we're not going to spend any time on this conference realignment stuff until it actually affects the SEC, Shane, because I don't really care what the Pac-12, Big 10, Big 12, because we all know, whoever they get to the playoff, if they get anybody, which they probably shouldn't, they're just going to lose to the SEC when they get there. So who the hell cares what's going on in those garbage leagues? But Eli Drinkwitz was asked about this over the weekend, and I thought that he gave the best answer I've heard yet on all this realignment with all these West Coast and East Coast schools in the same conference. It's going to be fine for football, but the rest of the college sports, it's hard to disagree with anything Drink's got to say here.
I was really hoping nobody would ask me that question.
Sorry.
All right, I'm going to say it. I thought the transfer window, I thought the portal was closed. That's just for the student athletes. The adults in the room get to do whatever they want, apparently. And it's, it's just sad that there's, look, my question is, did we count the cost? I'm not talking about a financial cost. I'm talking about, did we count the cost for the student athletes involved in this decision? What cost is it to those student athletes? We're talking about a football decision. They based off football, but what about softball and baseball who have to travel cross country? Do we ask about the cost to them? Do we know what the number one indicator of symptom or cause of mental health is? It's lack of rest and sleep. Traveling in those baseball, softball games, those people, they travel commercial. They get done playing at 4. They got to go to the airport. They come back. It's 3 or 4 in the morning. They got to go to class. I mean, did we ask any of them? Are we going to look back? I don't worry at all about the game. The game is going to be strong. Football is going to be fine. We'll all figure it out. But did we consider the people that we are entrusted with? Did we consider the student athlete? Because then we're asking them to go out on their own to get NIL. We didn't say we're going to revenue share. We're not saying they're getting a piece of it. So that's the thing that's bothering me right now in this whole situation is we keep trying to limit what the student athlete can do, but then we act on our own. And everybody's got their own reasons, and I'm not questioning any of those. I'm saying as a collective group, have we asked ourselves, what's it going to cost the student athletes? I saw on Twitter several student athletes talking about one of the reasons they chose their school was so that their parents didn't have to travel. They chose a local school so that they could be regionally associated so their parents could watch them play and not have to travel. Did we ask them if they wanted to travel from the East Coast to the West Coast? Man, I love the game, but every game that I coach, I look up in the stands and find my family. I make sure they can play. I make sure they can be there because that's what I'm doing this for. And you're talking about volleyball, baseball, softball, track. I mean, all those other sports, man, they're not fortunate to travel like the way we do. Football will be fine. It's still we count the cost of the collateral damage of everybody else. I don't know. Only time will tell, but that is my biggest, looking at it going 24 hours after, say, did we really think about that? I don't think we did.
All right, Shane, I also want to credit Josh Pate, the great Josh Pate, friend of the show, because I've heard him say similar things here. When you see all this realignment stuff, Shane, the two things you don't see, how do the players feel about it, and how do the fans care about it? And why you're not hearing that? Because they don't give a damn about the players. They don't give a damn about the fans. That, even if you are pumped up about, let's say you're a UCLA fan, you're not going to be traveling unless you're very wealthy to Michigan and Ohio State and Rutgers and Maryland and on.
You got Oregon, and I was looking at Oregon and Maryland.
Yeah.
They're in the same conference, and imagine if it was an every other year situation. Most likely not going to be going to those games, which sucks in my opinion. When you have 20, whatever, we're not on the expansion. There's quality and quantity. The SEC's quality, everybody else's quantity. That's all right. Have your 10 Vanderbilts and see how it plays out at the end of the year.
And Nick Saban also asked about it, Shane, and not similar comments, but not the exact same. And, whether you like Nick Saban or not, you should respect him because he pretty much is the authority of college football today. So I just had to play these clips of Nick Saban asked on his thoughts on the realignment.
Look, I did not hear what anybody's comments have been about this. Look, there's a lot of traditions that we've had for a long time in college football, and I think we're in a time of evolution for whatever reasons. And some of those traditions are going to get sort of pushed by the wayside, I think, and it's sad. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent for college football, I guess you have to define what is good, bad, what is good and bad for college football. So I think one thing I would just hope that we would keep in mind in all the choices and decisions we make relative to what we do in college athletics is the student athlete. They're here to get an education. We want to try to help them develop careers on and off the field. And hopefully some of the choices and decisions that we make for college athletics in the future will impact them in a positive way. And I hope that we can keep that as a priority in terms of whatever we decide to do in the future of college football and college athletics.
All right, Shane, I could have guessed Papal was going to go with history and tradition, but I think he's absolutely right. And again, we're not here to cry for Oregon State and Washington State and teams like that, but you lose rivalries potentially, you lose historic games, and to what you just said, Shane, that's why I'm glad the SEC staying in the South, and I realize Texas and Oklahoma, that is expansion, but just already the buzz we're getting back from those fans, Shane, they fit in. There's natural rivalries all across the SEC with Texas and Oklahoma, and we may have disrespected them in the past, Shane, but I got them open arms because I think they're going to fit perfectly, and I hope the SEC stays at 16. The Big Ten can add everybody in the country other than the SEC teams we currently got, and it still is not going to match what the SEC has.
Absolutely. It's the haves and the have-nots, and the SEC has plenty of haves. And I love the fact, Texas, Oklahoma, when you're looking at that footprint, it makes sense to me, Southeast. Oklahoma's a little bit further, Texas a little bit further, but it's not California. It's not Oregon. It's not Washington. It doesn't, like, I was looking to get to from Columbia to College Station, I think it's like 14 hours or something like that. It's a feasible trip. You can drive that if you would like. So, but you look at some of these others that are 40 hours long, it's like, that's not going to happen. So it's just not. So, we try to stay out of this thing. It's almost like politics now. It's like you just don't want to deal with it. But I do got to ask, Mike.
Yes, sir. Because
the two teams that keep coming up constantly is Clemson, is Florida State. Mm-hmm. That's two of the ones I keep hearing. I've heard some Notre Dames and I've heard some other stuff, but I don't think that this conference needs them. It's like, right. I understand if it helps the brand, if it improves the product. And I know you can look at a national championship or go back to the 90s and find a Florida State one or Jimbo Fisher. I forgot, maybe that was a little bit more recent. But, yeah, there has been success at both of those organizations. But I don't think that this conference has to have them. Do you?
No, absolutely not. And to your point, I mean, this ACC, it's called the Grant of Rights. I think it's basically unbreakable. So I don't anticipate any movement from any ACC teams for a number of years, but I think the little caveat here, Shane, is the SEC will do what it can to keep the Big Ten out of the South, and Florida State and Clemson, from what I have been told, do not fit in the Big Ten at all. So, I don't think they're targeted by the Big Ten. They fit for the SEC. I could see it one day, but I don't think they're going to add anybody, and they're not going to mess with this ACC grant of rights. The two teams to keep your eye on, and again, I don't think this can happen till 2036, so not anytime soon, but potentially North Carolina, we've talked about that before, and Virginia. And why those are important, Shane, because the Big Ten, from what I know, and I know very little about the inner workings of the Big Ten, but those are the two schools that the Big Ten kind of has eyes on the South, and you want to keep them out You want to keep the Big Ten out of the South. So if there is expansion to the SEC, I think it'll be North Carolina. I think it'll be Virginia, and maybe down the line Florida State and Clemson. But again, I don't. The SEC does not need any of those.
But I get that, like in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 60s, in the 50s. You know, it's like, okay, I get proximity. Now, that makes sense for fans. It makes sense for players, kind of like what Eli was talking about. Mm-hmm. That's what I think it really matters. But even if the Big Ten were to build a university in the middle of Alabama, I still don't think that it's going to matter. You know what I'm saying? The SEC stands on its own. And even if there is another university right there in North Carolina or Virginia, like you said, I don't see how that could really hurt our brand, because like I just said just a few minutes ago, Georgia landed a huge recruit out of, what was it, California? You know, it's like they're coming to Georgia not because of where Georgia's at, because Georgia keeps winning national championships and putting running backs in the league. Right. You know, that's I don't know. I'm kind of I told you we're not going to talk about conference realignment, but
yeah. Final thing I got on it, because the only problem with your argument. Yeah, I mean, the Big Ten can't go to Alabama because the SEC's dominated it, and you cannot say the same about North Carolina, Virginia. The SEC's got no presence there. So you just don't want to lose those states to the Big Ten, because it could start a domino effect potentially down the line. I really do think.
Yeah, maybe like later down in life, you think. So maybe not 5 years, but 20 years, you see having that presence could be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
So let's get it to some actual football here, Shane, because we have been waiting. I didn't even know we were going to get Bobby Petrino, Shane, until he was on his way out the door. You know what? In Texas A&M,
yeah.
This has been such a huge storyline for obvious reasons. I mean, just the ego, the history. I mean, this is the guy that walked out on the Falcons, had the motorcycle crash. I mean, on and on and on. So many backstory with Bobby Petrino, and I've heard he's just one of the worst people to ever deal with in the history of college athletics, from people that have been in athletics for a long time. So I say all that, though, Shade. We've been nothing but positive on what he could bring to Texas A&M, because he's exactly what they need down there: an offensive mind, a quarterback's coach that has excelled in this conference, excelled all across college football, and can do it with a wide variety of quarterbacks and offensive systems. And if he's given his free will here in Texas A&M, which has been a big question all summer, A&M's are going to be one hell of a dangerous team, Shane. Let's kick it over to Bobby Petrino, asked about his working relationship with the big man boss, Jimbo Fisher.
You know, I've read or heard, or I've had people send me things about, you and Coach Fisher getting along, that's not really how it works, okay? Coach is the boss, all right? My job is to try to keep him happy and make sure that everything works, the way he wants it to work. I understand that more than probably anybody because of the number of years that I've been the head coach. But it's been a lot of fun, Coach is a ball coach, and the ability to go in the meeting room and watch video and listen to his philosophies and his techniques and fundamentals. I've improved a lot as a coach, and my knowledge has improved a lot as a coach just in the short time that I've been here.
All right, Shane. I mean, I think it's just hilarious. Some people, I don't think Bobby Petrino could have answered this any better. And yet I threw this out there, and some people are like, oh, it's already off the rails. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's saying, hey, this is Jimbo's program. I'm not going to oversee them, and I'm going to call plays, and we're going to do it this way. But it's got to, Jimbo will have a say over everything. And that's exactly the same, Shane. Nick Saban with his defense down there. That's why I don't let all that bullshit with Pete Golden's run the defense. No. It's Nick Saban. Kirby Smart. He loses a defensive coordinator, and the defense does not lose a step. Why? Because it's Kirby's defense. He's in on all the game planning, on the play calls. He's on the headset. Same thing is going to be happening down here at Texas A&M. We just can't let Jimbo be calling all the critical plays here. But I was more encouraged about Texas A&M after hearing these comments from from Bobby Petrino. Where were you at?
Yeah, I think so too. And I listened to pretty much this whole presser. Started out, and Coach was a little bit, he was asked earlier about Petrino, and, he was like different than ever. He was just kind of complimentive and stuff. I don't know if it's because he's in the room. can't talk about him while he's over there. And then Bobby comes up and kind of mirrors that and said, hey, man, this isn't about friendship. This is about a job that needs to be complete, and that's making sure that we put the best product out there. So I love it because there's some other comments about him picking Jimbo's brain and learning, and the one thing that really stood out to me with this whole thing was, he's a tool, man. He talks about Jimbo's playbook. I mean, he says it's about this big, but they don't need to know it all. He needs to know from these quarterbacks what they're good at, and that's what he's going to identify. So I like that because it's a different perspective, and these kids seem to be embracing him as well.
Yeah, and one other thing for Bobby Petrino, I love this as well, Shane, give you a little insight, because I think some people think they're just drawing it up in the sand, and, it's like Madden video game, well, let's call this, let's call that. No, this is college football, as much as people want to make it to be professional, and I realize it's close, but there's time limits, and you can't just reinvent the wheel mid-season. You kind of are who you are. This is when you find out the summer and training camp. This is when you're kind of implementing your offensive and defensive identity and just hope and pray it translates to the field. Here's Bobby Petrino on his play calling duties and how they kind of come to these decisions during the week when they practice these plays. I mean, it's common sense, but I feel like some people maybe just don't realize this.
No, it's a collective effort, but will you serve as the primary play caller?
Yeah, I mean, it is a collective effort. I've been calling the plays out at practice, and I will do that. But a lot of times the plays are called throughout the week. So as you game plan and you're in there, you put down your third and shorts, and you know what you want to do run-wise, you know what you want to do pass-wise. Then you practice them, then you go back and rank them. And a lot of times it's like, okay, we get 3rd and 1, ball's on the right hash. The call's already made. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to be able to be disciplined to do what you didn't practice. I think that's when I've always like self-scouted myself. I didn't do it as much based on what the defense was looking at and what they were doing, but I always did it based on, did we call what we did in practice, and did we execute what we executed in practice? And if we didn't, why not? What's the issue there? So I want to make sure that we spend time preparing our players and they understand the situations, and they can rely that they're gonna get the play calls that they worked on and practiced on and got better on during the week.
All right, Shane. So again, I mean, I think this is great, everything he's saying, and he also talked a lot about tempo and that being a aspect of A&M's offense, and he said, well, that doesn't mean we're going to go. He didn't say Lane Kiffin, Josh Heupel. I don't think they're going to go warp speed the entire time, but the ability to go tempo and then come out of it and just do multiple things with the pieces they have. You know who that sounds like to me, Shane, and maybe this is too bold, but it reminds me of Todd Monken there at Georgia, which Georgia didn't go tempo all the time, but when they could, they did, and they were incredibly effective. And then once they get you off balance, then they hit you right in the damn mouth. That's what Texas A&M needs to be, and they have all the pieces at quarterback, receiver, running back, offensive line. There's no reason they can't be, one of the top offenses in the SEC, if not the country.
Oh, yeah. And then, he's talking about these receivers too, brother, that they're already hitting right out of the gate. Yeah. Connor Migman, he thinks this is the best receiving. Of course, this is his boys, but he thinks it's the best room in the town or in the country. So, and they're excited, brother. They love that. I mean, all these kids were here last year, and they got to see this slow offense, and now they're talking up tempo. They're starting to get exciting again, and this is what Texas A&M fans have been just dying for. So, be ready, guys. It's coming.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to talk about, Shane, I mean, this is going to piss this fan base off, but I think the rest of the SEC will get a good laugh out of this. But if you missed it, South Carolina, they lost a recruit over the weekend to Auburn, and this was a guy apparently they had him locked in. He was committing. He was planning to be a Gamecock. And then I don't know. I have no idea. But at the 11th hour, announces, hey, I'm going to Auburn. And boy, was Gamecock Nation were they pissed. And it got so out of hand, Shane, that the official NIL of the South Carolina Gamecocks is called the Garnet Trust. I'm going to throw up there. They deleted this, but thank God for screenshots, Shane. I'm going to throw it up here. If money is the deciding factor for a player, chances are they aren't the kind of athlete who will appreciate the culture our coaches are building. And that's from the official NIL of South Carolina. And boy, I'm loving these reactions, Shane. People with, the poor people out here complaining and all this. And Shane, and I see it, some people are saying, well, what's inaccurate about that? And hey, Shane, you're a damn fool if you don't think players at Georgia are getting paid. It doesn't seem to be slowing them down. Alabama's been paying guys for 50 years. It's not slowing them down. LSU, Tennessee, on and on and on. I get it. You don't want this to be complete free agency, but players getting paid that's been going on a long time. If you got outbid, your official NIL bitching about it on Twitter is not the best look.
No, probably not the best look. Definitely emotional. Been there. All right. I'm an emotional guy, and sometimes I just fire off without thinking, and then, of course, Mike really draws me back in, I'm kind of worried when we go live, you know what I'm saying? But I will say this, brother. I'm not mad about it because they said the exact same thing a lot of these Gamecock fans were thinking.
Yeah.
And it's something that Beamer can use later when he's in those booster kiss-ass meetings, and say, hey, listen, here's a prime example. This is why we need more money to back these boys up, because if we do, I can bring you a good team. We're this close. We just need some more money, and that's where you guys come in. So this is a tool that they could use later, but it stings. I've been there, man. At least he wasn't flinging hats and shit,
Or tearing stickers.
Having his dad rip a sticker off, Trust me, we've been there too, so.
All right, Shade, just real quick, a couple of hitters around the SEC. I wanted to share just some intel I'm getting from some teams that are in camp in Florida over the weekend. Shane, they held a practice open to the public, so a lot of people had eyes on the team. And the main reaction, Shane, this offense and defensive line's legit. They look massive. This is Billy Napier, what he's trying to build. That's exactly what you want to see from a Billy Napier bully ball type team. But after, the size and strength of these linemen, the big takeaway from everybody down there in Gator Nation, Shane, they're calling him Heis Mertz down there. Graham Mertz, who everybody, myself included, has disrespected, looked solid. I think he's got complete command of the team. He's a leader. They've not named him the starter, but I think it's only a matter of time. And just Shane Matthews, former standout Florida quarterback under Steve Spurrier, Shane, he's out here saying this is 8-win minimum Gator football team.
Oh, shit.
After seeing this. And hey, I love the optimism, Shane. And hell, I was on here just the other day saying if they beat Utah, they're 5-1. And wouldn't you know it, a couple days later they hold an open practice and they're the best team in the East. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fired up.
It's that time of year, baby, undefeated. and there's a lot of people that have been down in Florida that think that they're going to be better. We talked about this you gamblers out there, now's the time to be putting your money up there. Don't wait till after Utah.
Right.
Don't wait till after that ass whooping, because then nobody's going to be taking them bets. So get your bets in if you think Florida's going to be something this year. I like the videos. I'm seeing them all over, man.
Yeah.
I saw Kentucky had open practice. I mean, Now again, they're putting all the dimes out there. They're not putting the bad passes out there, but no, the fans are pumped up and they're ready for some football. You could tell.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you went there, Shane, because that's next real quick. Kentucky, just got some buzz on them. Night and day different. I'm hearing the progression from the spring. I think Liam Cohen was a little underwhelmed with certain position groups, particularly that offensive line. They're liking what they got there. How about this, Shane? These are the bold comments right here. If you're a Kentucky fan, I'm going to go in here uptight. This is what I'm hearing, Shane. These are the money quotes here. Wouldn't be surprised if they can compete with Tennessee and give Georgia a game. That's a direct quote I got. Here's another one, Shane. They're raving about this receiving unit. There's not a game on the schedule they feel like they can't compete in. So, hey, take that for what it's worth. But, hey, the buzz is growing there in Lexington. And you can attest to this, Shane. Everybody we spoke to up there at Media Days just about, we said, who's a team to keep your eye on that not enough people are talking about? And just about everybody said them Kentucky Wildcats.
Which camera am I looking at? This one? Right. You're right, Mike. You are absolutely right. I will say, out of all the camps going on right now, the ones I got my eyes on is the ones you've already kind of hit on, the Florida Gators, because they can't be that bad, Mike. They can't. I just don't see it. I can't believe it. I think that they take a step forward. So many new pieces in Ole Miss. So many new pieces in Kentucky. These are a couple of camps I really got my eyes on. What do they look like? I know it's a revolving Auburn. Golly, I mean, Hugh Freeze out here stealing everybody's recruits, wives, everything. He's in everybody's living room just making a deal with the devil. So he's getting them down there on the plains. What does this roster look like? What is this team's going to look like? Man, I'm just so freaking pumped up. I'm just, these videos, these little 10, 15-second videos, I'm watching them like over and over again. Like, damn, maybe they got something there in Arkansas, or maybe LSU is going to win a national championship. So,
yep. And then one last nugget, Shane. This is just for you. I know you'll appreciate this one, but I'm hearing multiple people, Shane, have told me that Tennessee receiver Ramel Keaton, who a lot of people, I wouldn't say written off, but when you bring up Tennessee and all the weapons, that he's about the last one they mention. I don't know why. He was third in receiving yards last year, second on the team in receiving touchdowns. Shane, I hear he's taking his game to another level. He could be the number one receiver, and they got a 5-star, Brew McCoy, and that doesn't mean Brew's disappointing. It just Ramel Keaton's shown up, and he's ready for his money year. Squirrel White, Dante Thornton, all these guys. Yet Ramel Keaton is the one that's standing out early, and I know it's very early. So, but I'm just sharing what I got for you. And Tennessee may be even more loaded on the offensive side than people realize right now.
Yeah, that's why Heupel was so cocky up there at Media Days.
Right before we get to our interview, Shane, one more time, another sponsor new to the show this year. The show's brought to you by Manscaped, Shane. Back for, I think they had us a couple years ago, but they're back because they got a new product, back. Shane. The Beard Hedger Pro Kit. Head on over to Manscaped.com, Shane, /SEC podcast and use that promo code SEC, same promo as the Game Time Sidekick, Shane. They'll give you 20% off. Look at that. Everybody's giving our listeners 20% off and free international shipping. One more time at manscaped.com /SEC podcast. This is all in the show notes, Shane. And college football is back, baby, and you need a beard shaver. Head on over to Manscaped. This is a great way to help podcast this season, ordering from Manscaped. You got someone in your life you got to get a gift for, or, hey, I could use one myself, Shane. They're sending us one right now. I'm going to be shaving as soon as I get this beard hedger from Manscaped, Shane. And one of these packages, of course, you get the hedger, you get beard shampoo, beard conditioner, oil, palm, and a travel case. When's the last time you used shampoo and conditioner, Shane? You're going to be using it pretty soon here, thanks to Manscaped. You know what?
Hell yeah, man. They saw these nasty-ass beards. So it's like, let's sponsor them so we can at least clean them up a little. So clearly I haven't got mine yet, but I'm looking forward to it, Mike.
Yeah, so once again, hit up manscaped.com /SEC podcast and that promo code SEC for 20% off your entire order and free international shipping, and that is in the show notes. Well, buddy, you got anything else before we hop off the line?
No, it's been a long one, but we got a lot more content coming out this week, so be sure to subscribe to That SEC Podcast on YouTube, all Apple. I mean, you know the deal. Get on there, hit the notifications on. As soon as we got some videos, we're going to send them your way.
Yeah, we probably should have said this sooner. We'll bring it up again, Shane, but we're going to start doing live shows every Sunday, so we're trying to get you guys in the habit. Those will be our big recap shows, but we're going to do a couple leading up to it because I'm sure we'll screw up the first couple. We want to be in season 4 when the games get here, but so be on the lookout for that on the YouTube live. It'll be on Facebook, Twitter. It'll be out there all over the place. But live shows coming Sunday evening for the entire college football season. Shane, scared to death. Show up and hang out with us. You know what?
Yeah, I'm going to have fun, though, and it's a good way to interact, too. You know,
Yeah.
Mike's going to let some comments come through, and we'll be able to talk and hang out with you guys. But, yeah, I'm excited about it, you know. So Sunday, we don't have a definite time yet, do we? Or do we?
I think it'll be, isn't it 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 Central every Sunday, I believe.
So set your alarm clocks. We're going to be on there, be on all platforms, but mainly YouTube. Jump on there, and then, of course, we'll put out the audio version the next morning. But, yeah, it should be fun. We're talking, man, college football. So we're going to work some kinks out, and that may be, you know, maybe – hell, I'm stumbling now, Mike. Just wait till we get on live TV where I can't pause the damn thing. So it's going to be awesome, and I look forward to seeing everybody there.
Well, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate all the cousins out there for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
Damn, I'm already getting nervous. See you tomorrow. Go Vols.